If my life were a movie, it would be Freaky Friday, but messier. Think less Lindsay Lohan, more emotionally repressed adults having meltdowns in the middle of Disney movies. For those of you who don't know, Freaky Friday is a film where a mother and daughter magically switch bodies for a day. And during this chaotic, hilarious, slightly traumatic swap, they're forced to see each other more clearly. They live each other's lives and feel each other's frustrations. And in that, something healed between them, something softened. In my version, I wouldn't just swap bodies with my mom. I would also swap with my brothers, whom I love dearly, but sometimes struggle to connect with. I'd swap with my father, who I've always craved to understand just a little bit more. I'd switch with that friend whose absence still stings, the one whose goodbye said more than silence ever could. Maybe I'd even switch with myself at 19, because God bless her, she was trying. I honestly can't even imagine what would unfold from all of that. Probably chaos, definitely drama, but maybe, just maybe, we'd all be a little better for it. Because what if healing isn't just about being heard, but about finally letting yourself be seen, raw, unfiltered, and imperfect? Sometimes the most radical thing we can do is to truly see each other. As Henry David Thoreau once stated, could there be a greater miracle than for us to look through each other's eyes, even for just a moment? Here's the thing. Most of us are craving connection while quietly protecting ourselves from it. We say, "I'm good," when our hearts are clearly saying otherwise. We laugh at texts we do not find funny, and we scroll past the messages that we don't know how to answer. We try to keep the peace, but end up starving for the truth. We perform versions of ourselves that are easier to love, more polished, but less honest. And the world applauds us for our strength, but they never actually know what it costs us to carry. And if we're not careful, we spend years curating versions of ourselves that are admired but never truly known. To embrace raw, authentic connection, I had to stop rehearsing the version of me I thought people could love, but I had to start revealing the version of me that actually needed to be loved. I used to think connection meant getting the words just right. But now I know that it's about being present enough to fumble through all the wrong ones. It's showing up with no filter, and a little anxiety and saying, "Hey, I don't actually know what I'm doing, but I'm here." Because being seen doesn't always feel safe, but it does create safety. It gives others the permission to show up real too. It means that you're brave enough to let people witness you becoming. There was a time when I decided to take a deeper look into the relationships in my life. I noticed that the people I cared about the most felt extremely far away. I remember asking myself, why does everything feel so off? Like it's broken or unfinished, or like there are cracks that I just can't find. And then I finally noticed that I had been loving them from a distance, even when they were often sitting right next to me. I realized that I had been waiting for them to reach out, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting to feel safe enough to be honest, or waiting for the cracks to magically fill themselves. And then one day, I imagined what it would be like to wake up in their world, to carry their memories, their fears, to grow up with their wounds, to wear their armor, to have learned silence as not a choice, but a survival strategy, or to only love in the best way that they knew how. It hit me that whole time I was waiting on them to go first, someone else, to speak, to soften, or to show. But what if I was the one holding the key? I began showing up differently once I realized this. Not always with the perfect words, but with honesty. I said, I'm trying. I said, I'm listening. And slowly, the walls started to lower and the cracks started to fill. Not all at once, but enough to remind me that we're all just waiting to be seen. We're all longing to be known. Most of us walk around asking invisible questions. If I tell you how I really feel, will you stay? If I show you the parts of me that I'm still healing, will you still love me? And we try to earn that closeness by being perfect, when really it's earned by being present. So what if we stopped? What if we stopped polishing our stories and started offering our truths? What if we chose to see someone's awkward pause, their anxious laugh, their hesitation, or even their tantrums as sacred? What if being too much is exactly what makes you lovable? What if your truth is the key to someone else's healing? We don't have to understand each other to agree, and we don't have to match experiences to hold compassion. We just have to be willing to look, not at the version someone shows the world, but at the versions of them that they carry inside. Now, we may not be able to switch lives like in the movies yet, but we can choose to see each other more clearly, truly, deeply, without performance, without perfection, without armor. We can ask better questions, sit with the silence. We can hold someone's story like it's sacred and holy. We can choose to be known in the messy, unfiltered, beautiful, complex people that we are, and share those truths. Imagine for a second what would change in your relationships, your family, even your community, if you let yourself be fully seen and held the same space for others. What kind of world could we build if we made more room for love, for truth, for liberation, by simply looking through each other's eyes? So, before I leave this stage today, I want to challenge you all to join me in a small act of courage. The next time you're with someone you care about, pause. Really look at them, not through the lens of who they've been or maybe who you wish they were, but as they are right now, messy, complex, becoming just like you. And as you ask yourself, look at yourself as well. What part of them have you never fully seen? What part of you are you craving to show? Once you take that next step and don't give them the polished, edited, I'm good version, but the honest one, you'll both see that you were just craving to know each other even better. Because that's what this is about. Raw, authentic connection isn't just about being visible. It's about being real enough to let love in and vulnerable enough to let it stay. So let's begin with this moment right here. Look at someone next to you, whether it's friend, family, or a complete stranger. And when you're ready, take a breath and say, I see you. Because in a world that often rushes past what's real, this right here, this is where the connection begins. This is where healing grows. This is where liberation thrives, not in perfection, not in performance, but in the simple, radical act of courage to be seen. Thank you.